every person who is charged with a criminal offense is entitled to defend himself in person or by a legal practitioner of his own choice.
Remember that an individual is entitled to remain silent.
Every citizen in Nigeria is entitled to maintain a private life.
You are approaching a military checkpoint or a police checkpoint without knowing that it's against or it offends them and subject you to a frog jump. That is wrong.
Hello out there, you are welcome to another fresh episode of the program Justify Nigeria on ACNN television reaching you from Abuja. On today's episode of the program, we are going to be looking at the constitutional powers of the Attorney General. My name is Anozechi Nomso. The 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and various enactments vest the power to institute criminal proceedings on different authorities and persons in the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the chief law officer of the Federation or a state, as the case may be. The Attorney General's authority is enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Sections 174 and 211 empowers the federal and state's Attorney General respectively to institute, take over, or discontinue criminal proceedings against any person in any court of law in Nigeria except a court-martial. Looking at all this, certain questions come to mind. Who is an Attorney General? How does he emerge? How come he is the chief law officer in the state? Why is his constitutional powers not extended to a court-martial? With me in the studio to address all this is Barrister Usebus Anyanwu. He is the principal partner of AK Usebus & Co. and also an Abuja legal practitioner and a member of Unity Bar. You are welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers.
Well done. Every time we hear about Attorney General, there are people there, especially our viewers, that are not lawyers. First of all, who is an Attorney General and how does he emerge?
Now, an Attorney General is the chief law officer of the Federation in the case of Nigeria as a country, and the chief law officer of a state in the case of the state
Okay, you mean
across the country.
There are two separate parts now, that of federal
and state.
That of state.
Very well, right. Very well. The Constitution is very explicit on who an Attorney General is. Okay. But before we go into who an Attorney General is, it is expedient for us to understand what it takes to be an Attorney General. Okay. Now, as a lawyer, even though the position of the Attorney General is an appointive position, it is a condition precedent that upon appointment, such a person must be a lawyer who is called to, who is at least 10 years post-call.
Barrister, take it easy. So you must be a lawyer before you are talking about being Attorney General.
That's
a businessman or a clergyman or an imam or whoever cannot, unless you be a lawyer. That's number one.
Very well, okay. Very well.
Okay.
It is founded on the on the legal profession. And it is one of the, it is probably the only position based on our constitutional provision on the powers of the president to appoint that is clearly reflected in the Constitution. Every other ministerial appointment
can come from anywhere.
Can come from anywhere. But the position of the Attorney General is one that is recognized by the Constitution.
Do we have the sections of the Constitution?
By virtue of Section 174 of the Constitution, 174 of the Constitution, yes. The appointment of the Attorney General, yes, of the Federation is reflected therein. Okay. By virtue of Section 211 of the same Constitution, the Attorney General of a state is equally reflected.
So it's recognized.
That is the only ministerial position.
We are still stressing on that.
Yeah, it's important we stress that position. Okay. Yes, because you could be the Minister of Health. Anybody, we've seen presidents appoint
Anybody to
an
various
academic
ministers.
doctor
Yes.
as a minister of health, even though but that cannot be said of the position of the Attorney
Attorney
General.
General.
It is.
So you are talking about qualification. You talked about first he must be a lawyer. Second,
he must have practiced for at least 10 years.
Okay, not just somebody that have been called to bar yesterday.
No,
he wants to be an Attorney General.
Minimum of 10 years. Minimum of 10 years. And that person must be a person of impeccable quality and character. Those are the basic criteria that must be considered before such an appointment can be made. So anybody who has crossed that 10 years limit is qualified to be appointed the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Okay. So now you're talking about how they emerged through an appointment.
Very well.
Whether that of states and that of federal. But you made mention of something. Is it the president that also appointed that of the states?
No.
Okay.
The states,
the
governor, if you look at section 211, expressly made provision for the appointment of an Attorney General by the chief executive officer of his state.
In this case,
who is the governor. Yes, the governor makes the appointment, subject to the qualification as prescribed by.
Okay, the same qualification in that of the federal is applicable on that of the state.
Very
the
well.
only difference is that the president appoints that of the federal.
The minister.
The minister.
Yes.
Why the governor appoints that of the state, and in that second set of the state,
the commissioner.
Very
well.
Very well. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, Barrister, we look at the enormous power. Let me use that word of Attorney General. And they have the issue of taking over and continue. Please comment on the legitimacy of the Attorney General to take over and continue criminal proceedings.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, being an appointive position, and before I proceed, let me still make a point very clear here. Now, don't forget that that particular position is a person who holds that position is tantamount to holding two portfolios.
Clarify
the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice.
Okay, there are two offices.
There are two offices. No matter what people, a lot of commentators, lawyers, very senior lawyers, academicians, they've researched, they've said it is one and the same. But some of us will say, yes, it is one and the same. But there are two big portfolios. Big portfolios. And until and unless something is done about that, they would continuously have
that issue,
that challenge. There are many questions. People keep asking questions over and over, unanswered questions.
Okay, now the legitimacy on the issue of taking over, continuing the criminal proceedings at any level.
Yes.
Yes.
The Constitution expressly provided, by virtue of section 174 of the Constitution, that the Attorney General has expressly, it's an express provision
at
the federal level. Yes, the Attorney General, the Constitution expressly provides that an Attorney General can institute and undertake criminal proceeding against anybody in any court of law,
including the president,
except ordinarily, it should include the president, ordinarily.
Because there's no exception there.
Yes, ordinarily. And that is part of the subject of controversy. We've seen situations where the president, questions have been called on some funny attitude displayed by the president in this case. But because the Constitution has said they are at the mercy of the president, it's an appointed position. Yes, he who appoints.
Of course, he takes the tune.
Exactly. He equally has the powers to terminate. Exactly. So you cannot wake up tomorrow
and want to just deal with your
boss. Unless and until something is done about that particular section. But as it stands,
he can against anybody.
No, he can against anybody. Ordinarily, even against the president, but for purposes of political considerations, it can never come to play.
So for what you're saying, Counsel, it means that an Attorney General can just wake up in the morning and begin to institute action against somebody.
An Attorney General can look at your face and decide he's going to do something about you.
And commence an action.
Attorney General can, the most wanted criminal in Nigeria today can enjoy some powers exercisable only by the Attorney General by way of coming to court and making an oral application, informing the court that please allow this man to go.
And it stands.
And it stands. And the reason is not far-fetched.
What a power.
Yes, the reason is not far-fetched. Now, where such a thing happens, for example, it's at least for the duration of time that person exercises that power, the said defendant, as the case may be, stands discharged.
But not acquitted.
Not acquitted. They are two.
Well, there are many issues on this, but you're going to explain that after we come from break. Please do join us again.
Hi, you're welcome to the speaker on ACNN television reaching you from Abuja. On today, we are going to be looking at the issue of working Nigeria or wasting Nigeria. My name is Anozie Chinomso. Nigeria happened to be one of the first 32 countries that regained her independence on or before 1963. As a matter of fact, Nigeria regained her independence in the year 1960 and became a republic in 1963. Similarly, Nigeria was one of the 32 nations that congregated in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on the invitation of Emperor Haile Selassie, on the agenda of uniting and moving Africa forward. So many palatable histories such as this could be said about Nigeria. But beyond the books and tales of history, I am tempted to ask on whether Nigeria is working or Nigeria is wasting. Nigeria is one of the highest producers of oil in the world, and yet the price of oil is determined by the Europe and America. Our oil is one of the best in the world, yet a liter of fuel is 160 naira. Is Nigeria working or wasting? When Nigeria mine oil here and go outside to refine the oil is an example of waste and not work. We seem to have everything at our disposal as a nation, and yet Nigeria suffer on a daily basis. People are dying in hunger. People are butchered and slaughtered with impunity and reckless abandon. This is totally man's inhumanity to fellow man. Oftentimes I ask myself these questions. Does our political leaders have conscience at all? How do they sleep at night with the incessant killings happening in Nigeria? How come Nigerian politicians engage themselves on primitive accumulation? How is it that Nigerian politicians are very much comfortable when things are going wrong, but very uncomfortable when things are going well? The question is, are we children of a lesser God? The question is Nigeria cursed, or are we, the citizen, the curse? No, we are not. It's just that there are some of the Nigerian people who holds the view that Nigeria must remain how it is in order for them to feed fat. There are some of the Nigerian citizens whose diabolical agenda is to ensure that Nigeria must not move in the right direction. Are you, yes, you watching me, one of them? If you are, you must repent, else divine oxygen will not be given to you to breathe, so that you may suffocate in your lungs and leave Nigeria for good. Why are we killing ourselves for nothing? Division will not take us anywhere as a nation. We must begin to see ourselves as one if we must make Nigeria work. It was Robert Mangalisi Sobukwe of South Africa who said, and I quote, "There is only one race and tribe in the world, the human race and tribe." End of quotes. But the Igbos have forgotten that. The Hausas have forgotten that. The Yorubas have forgotten that. We are all humans, and as such, we have more to unite us than divide us. This God that created us in different tongues and languages is not stupid. The reason he created Igbos Hausas, Yorubas, Fulanis, Efik, Akwa Ibom, Calabar, and any other language is because he's a God of diversity who wants to be celebrated and worshipped in diverse and different ways. Therefore, our diversity should not be a source of division and weakness, rather should be a source of unity and strength. I therefore speak, until we put our differences away and decolonize our minds by changing our mindsets and shun every religious sentiment and tribalism and begin to see ourselves as one in order to work together towards a better Nigeria, we shall continue to have wasting Nigeria instead of a working Nigeria. My name is Anozie Chinomso. I just want to speak.
Hello, glad to know that you are still there. We are here in the studio with Barrister Usebu Sanyawo. Barrister, sir, before we went on break, you are trying to tell us that the Attorney General has enormous power to institute action on anybody. He might wake up in the morning and say, you Usebu, I'm instituting an action on his stance. Yeah. But now, for the benefit of our viewers, oftentimes lawyers, they talk about nolle prosequi, which is one of the powers also of the Attorney General. What is nolle prosequi? Let's start from there. What is it all about? Because that is not an English language, so you have to explain it and be elaborate how a non-lawyer and viewers out there will understand. When is that attached to Attorney General?
Okay, the term nolle prosequi is a Latin maxim which clearly states that where the Attorney General, for example, says, I am no more interested in prosecuting this person, that term nolle prosequi comes to play. So nolle prosequi simply means not interested in further prosecution of this person.
Just termination.
Termination of not interested in. That's the literal not interested in further prosecution of this
Wait,
person.
If, for example, there's a criminal proceedings going on,
yes,
and Attorney General is not a party, is not a defense counsel or plenty whatever, he has the power to come and terminate that matter. Is that what you're saying?
Very well, but one, it must be before the judgment of
that particular case.
Very well. Before judgment, an Attorney General can walk in and make another application before any court, informing that court. In the case of the federal offense, if the person is an offender under the federal, if his offense falls within the offenses as stated under section 251 of the Constitution,
which are the federal offenses.
Which are the federal offenses. Now, the federal government, through her Attorney General and Minister of Justice, can walk into that court and demand that that prosecution ends.
At any time before judgment?
At any time before the judgment.
At the stance?
Mr. Judge, we are no more interested in further prosecuting this matter. Let this matter end, and it ends. But there is a caveat. There is a caveat to this particular pronouncement. The Constitution, by virtue of section 171, sub 3, 174, sub 3, clearly states that the Attorney General must take into cognizance issues of public interest, issues of abuse of legal process. Yes, and
under condition that is enshrined therein. That is also applicable to that of the states.
Everything applicable under the federal is equally applicable. The only difference is under the state, it is confined within the state laws. Yes, while at the federal level,
it's confined under the federal
laws.
Now, if, for example, you are an Attorney General of the Federation, and you grant, just like you say, you terminate somebody, and the person is being discharged, maybe immediately you finish doing it, I was appointed. Can I still record that person?
Yes. Now, if a defendant,
you understand
I do.
Yes.
If a defendant, in the course of trial,
yes,
the Attorney General comes in before the defendant opens his case.
Okay.
The Attorney General can come, make that pronouncement, and that matter ends a limine. And the implication is...
you are speaking grammar, say limine. What do you... It ends what?
Okay, it ends abruptly.
Okay.
It ends
there. Okay.
Yes, it ends. That is when the defendant has not opened his case yet. that person is liable to be discharged. The defendant is liable to be discharged, with the implication that if tomorrow a new attorney general comes on board and decides that that person has a question to answer, he can further initiate the process. And proceed to prosecute that same person. Yes, but where the defendant had opened and closed his case.
Please, can you explain what you mean by opening and closing case? Because
Now,
this is a technical term.
Yes.
So that non-lawyer will understand what that's the essence of the program.
Okay.
Yes, opening and closing of the case. You can use a scenario to buttress it.
What I mean by opening and closing the case. Now, in the course of trial, in the course of a court proceeding, okay, let me use a more lay term.
Yes.
In the course of a court proceedings, the prosecutor, that's, for example, the state who is prosecuting an accused person, opens his or her case by way of tendering evidence upon service of the proof of evidence, all the necessary document. Yes, at the end of his own case, he closes his case.
That's the
closing of case, that he has ended all his witnesses and his case. Everything about his case has ended. Now, the accused person,
through his counsel,
opens his own case. And in opening his case, he is brought to the witness box to make state his own position of what transpired.
That's
that is where opening of his own case begins. And upon tendering all his available evidence,
just like the prosecution did,
just like the prosecution, he will now inform the court that through his counsel that he is done, and he has closed his case. So if by chance such a defendant, or in this case an accused person, closes his case before that application is made by the Attorney General, the implication is that pronouncement by the Attorney General automatically acquits this person. Acquittal now is that nobody can come back tomorrow
to rearrest him,
on the same subject matter.
So if he does, he can now raise the atrocious acquit.
Beautiful. An atrocious acquit is a situation where this person has been tried and discharged and acquitted. So the essence, it will amount to double jeopardy in rehearing his case again. So that is some of the enormous powers that the Attorney General has.
So but if he has not closed his case, and they remove that Attorney General, another person comes in, he can call him.
He can. The person can look at the file, and upon petition or upon the petition from anybody, mainly the complainant, that this person, I am insisting that this person at a particular point in time committed this offense against my sibling, against my parents, against this person, and because of that, we are praying that you look into this file and exercise your power judiciously by reinstituting a fresh suit on the same subject matter against this person.
And it stands.
The power of Attorney General is only God that can remove that. Thank you so much. It's an enormous one.
It's a superpower.
Now looking at how they emerge, you just mentioned that his appointment, that of the state is the governor, and that of the federal is the president.
Do you think there's any political influence in certain decisions of the Attorney General?
Unfortunately, we've seen situations over and over again, clearly depicting serious political interference in the actions, steps taken by the Attorney General. Ordinarily, it is a sacred position. Now, if the reason why people clamor for the separation of those two.
Yes, I was coming there.
Okay, I was coming to that. Okay, now, just before you answer it, do you think that the call for separation of that Attorney General from the Office of the Surgeon is a good one?
Very well. I'm one of the proponents of the separation of those two offices.
Why do you say so?
The more we allow these two offices merged, the more controversies it keeps. We've seen situation. We've seen an Attorney General exercising his power in a political party affair, using his power as the Attorney General to swear in political party, it shouldn't. It is a legal sacrilege. We don't allow that office to be so desecrated. The politicians have succeeded in desecrating that office, and the only way out is to gently separate the two offices. And you leave the Honorable Attorney General's office, and you now allow the political angle of that office, who is the Minister of Justice. Let him be the Minister of Justice. He can decide to be the Minister of Justice for his political party, for Nigeria. Yeah. What matters to us, that clear distinction is when it comes to issues of state, strict issues of law, strict issues of sound legal process. We now remember the Attorney General, who shouldn't be subject to any political president particularly,
or the governor in the
or
state.
The governor, as the case may be in the state. But clearly, once those offices are separated, I think Nigerians will seriously feel the impact of the Attorney Generals of the Attorney General in the case of the federal and the state. Yes.
Thank you very much, Barrister Sebus Anyanwu. Once that is being separated, I think that will be a better way for Nigeria to move forward. We want to appreciate you for coming, and I pray next time we call you obligers. Thank you so much. We heard it from him that is the chief propounder for those two offices of Attorney General and that of Minister of Justice in Federal or Commissioner of Justice to be separated is a very powerful way to go in Nigeria. It is trite and also a res judicata that the authority of the Attorney General to institute, take over or discontinue criminal proceedings is derived from the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Consequently, the authority of any agency or person to institute criminal proceedings is subject to the overriding constitutional powers of the Attorney General. Having seen the enormous constitutional powers of an Attorney General vested on him by the Constitution, it is therefore advised that an Attorney General should exercise his powers judiciously and judiciously, and not with impunity and reckless abandon. This is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of the program. Join us again, same time, same station, on another fresh episode. Until then, this is Anozation, so urging you to justify all issues, and bye for now.